Vincent Gethings. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur. I own several companies, and I am the owner and CEO of Wheelbarrow Profits Academy. The event we had yesterday was called a Money Mixer. This was an event for our inner circle members to get together and collaborate and re-baseline where they're at. Each one is on their own journey. So we had this pureness concept where everybody gets together. You might have somebody with 1,000 units sitting next to somebody that's trying to get their first unit, and they can collaborate together, meet where everyone is at their journey, and we can grow together in that, very good space together. My journey when I first got into real estate was in 2016. I was still in the military. I bought a duplex while I was still in the military. I was stationed in Travis Air Force Base, California, got the bug, scaled up to about 20 units from 2016 to 2018. And then I realized that I hit a ceiling, and I was like, how am I going to get above this ceiling? How do I get above 20 units to break into that next level? That's when I found this community. And within a very short amount of time, 2018, I joined the community. I got my first 52 unit under contract in 2018. 2020, I became a coach for this community. So I've been part of Wheelbarrow Profits for over 5 years now, or 7 years now. And this year, 2025, I took over as the leader and owner of Wheelbarrow Profits, and we're going to take it to the next level. I started very humble beginnings, like I was just saying, the duplex in 2016. 2020, we started scaling pretty big, and now here we are, 2025. Our portfolio is over $150 million. We're singularly focused on the Dallas-Fort Worth market. We're vertically integrated. That means we do property management in-house, and we're shooting for $1 billion in the next 7 to 10 years. A lot of people will look at my success, or people that are similar boats as me, and I can't do that. Vince is some kind of unicorn, and he has something that I don't have. And then I tell people, I get vulnerable with them, and I'm like, look, I didn't even graduate high school. I left home at 16. I joined the military as soon as I could at 18. Been on my own ever since. Started investing in real estate in 2016, and got the right people around me, got the right mentorship, got the right group of friends around me. And that really was the support I needed, and the confidence I needed to really just bet on myself and, see what I can do on my own. As a coach for Wheelbarrow Profits, I was coaching for 5 years. I put maybe 40 to 60 members through our very, very good curriculum, got them started on their real estate journeys. After coaching for about 5 years, like I said, I've been in part of the community for 7 years at this point. I got a call randomly one day from my mentors, and they had a proposition for me to take the helm of this community. And I really didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just said yes first, and I figure out the rest later. I have the confidence in myself and my abilities to figure it out and really take this community to the next level, into the future. And one of the big things I want to do is very much honor the legacy of the foundation that they built, and build on top of that, and see where this company can be in its next iteration. We have outsized results in this community because of the quality of education and delivery of what we do here. Our stats are pretty much unmatched in this industry. We have over 90,000 units, over $5 billion in units or real estate acquired, and over $500 million raised. And that's only with less than 1,000 people, members, ever, because we focus so much on individualized and personalized training and education, and fostering that community, fostering that growth for each member. I am a product of this community. I joined just like everybody else did. I found them online. I looked at all of the other big players at the time in 2017. I interviewed them. I went to all the conferences, and Jake and Gino were the most authentic people I've ever met that were doing this. And they had a track record to support their claims, and to support the education that they were providing. And I could sense the integrity that they had and the care that they had for each of the members. So I was attracted to them for that. So why they tapped me is maybe they thought or saw some of those traits in me as well, to take the company to the next level. So I grew up in New York. That's where I was born, raised to about 14. And after that, I moved to Pennsylvania. Life at home was pretty rocky. We didn't have a lot of money. I started hanging out with the bad kids in school. I was like the skater punk crowd, going into high school, and a lot of not so great after school activities, not a whole lot of adult supervision, and you kind of just raise yourself, you and your friends. So very common for people that in that situation. And from about 14 to 16, I started getting into a lot of trouble, getting picked up by the cops a lot. And right around 16, going into 17, was I was in court, and I was talking to the judge, and he pretty much flat out told me. He said, if I see you back here, you're going to jail. And I was like, well, I was thinking about joining the military. He's like, if you don't join the military, you're going to jail. So I listed, went down to the military enlistment office, enlisted in the Air Force. I was in a program called delayed enlistment program. It's you kind of just sit around and try not to get in trouble until they give you the phone call. I was waiting on a job, and it was about 6 months. So I was out there working. I worked a couple jobs. I've always had multiple jobs, so a really strong work ethic. And then one of my best friends died during that time, and that was kind of the last straw for me. So I called the recruiter, and I was like, "I'll take the next job you have. Like, get me out of here now." Um, so that was 2006. So 2006, I've never been home since. I've been on my own, doing my own thing. I did active duty Air Force for 15 years, 16 years. And during that time, I did all the things military does, deploy a lot of trips, a lot of time away from home. But I got married, had 3 kids, and that really changed my mindset of it's not about me. Now I got to start changing the trajectory of my family, and looking into how to do that. Um, investing, and then yeah, like most military people, I did my time, I did my deployments. Being in the Air Force, aircraft maintenance, we're not generally in a whole lot of danger. There's a couple, hairy spots, but it wasn't anything, that I was you know, really worried about. But it's still a lot of time away from home. I got my wife, small kids at home by themselves, and I'm out, across the world. So there is uh, some lost time and lost memories that I didn't get to have. But we're trying to make it up now. And again, investing in through multifamily, I can buy back my time, and I can have that freedom of time, freedom of location. And that's what I'm shooting for now. With my kids now, I have 3 kids. We homeschool now, so we maximize our time together. And with the way our companies are going, the way our portfolios are going, I have pretty near freedom of time and location. I just did about a month abroad in Europe with my family. Still ran all my companies, the whole portfolio, brought the kids' schoolwork with us. So there's things that real estate has provided me and my family that wouldn't have been able even remotely even think about if I was still in the military or just a regular W-2 job working on somebody else's time. Our favorite part, on that trip, that was our second or third extended vacation we had as a family. The France trip was really exciting, especially with the homeschool thing, because we can uh, turn our travels into homework assignments for them and education. So going through their history books and then actually going to see those places in real life. Yeah, you have your Eiffel Tower, you have your Mona Lisas, but then going even further south into the countryside and seeing things like a first century Roman aqueduct, and walking on it, swimming in it, and things like that is something that, again, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't even fathom that this was even a remote possibility for, somebody that came where I came from. Some of the things that I've taken a lot along the way is, I've always had a really good work ethic, but what I lacked was discipline. I lacked structure. Military is really good at that, really breaking people down and building them up to give them the discipline and structure to be successful, to take accountability, to take ownership of things within their control. And I'm a product of that as well, of that environment, and taking those skills and those habits and bringing it to my real estate teams and my other companies I own really shows that you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You don't need to be some kind of savant genius. If you just show up every day, if you have the discipline and you have consistency and a pretty decent work ethic, you're going to outwork nearly everybody that you come in contact with, and your results are going to show that. When I first started getting to real estate, I was buying the duplexes, the fourplexes, the sixplexes, and they were good. I read a couple books. I didn't really have any formal education at this point. Read a couple books, watched some, read some blogs, some videos, and that was enough education to get my feet in the door and do the smaller stuff. Once I started getting into the larger multifamily, uh, what I did notice is that the education's there, but you got to put in the work, and it is that the repetitions of how many deals can you look at, how many deals can you underwrite and get comfortable with building these financial models, building these underwritings, building these pro formas and business plans. And the more reps you do, the more consistent you are, the more often you're calling brokers and getting back to them, and the more often you're going on lunches and coffees and phone calls with investors and partners. Those consistent habits, it starts off slow. It's really hard to do, but you tend to have this hockey stick effect. And it might be a year, might be 2 years of just not a whole lot of results. And then it just shoots up. Everything just clicks, and you'll have an amazing couple of years, and that'll set you off for the rest of your life. It'll literally change the trajectory of your entire family. But you got to put in the work, because at first, just like anything else, starting to work out, starting in a new sport, you're not going to see those immediate results, but you got to keep showing up, you got to stay consistent, and then you don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to click, and you're going to start seeing those results. And thinking about the trajectory of my personal growth and from my experiences, it wasn't a linear growth path or even like the hockey stick J curve that we talk about. It's more so a series of unlocks and milestones, more so like stairs. And to break that down and articulate that, I was able to read a couple books, watch a couple videos, and I had enough confidence and knowledge to go buy a couple duplexes. That got me my first 20 units from 2016 to 2018. But then I hit a ceiling, and I needed that second unlock. That second unlock for me was a Wheelbarrow Profits Academy in 2018. When I unlocked that, now I got the coaching and the community I needed to scale from 20 units to about 500 units between 2018 and about 2021, 2022. So we scaled. That was a big unlock for us. Then that's when I started getting financial freedom. I hit financial freedom. I was able to leave the military, fully support my family, not worried about, I need to get a job. Am I going to be able to pull this off? That was the first unlock, is getting that coaching and that um, that community around me to be able to get to that second unlock. That third unlock is mentorship. So you have coaches and you have mentors. Coaches are going to follow a curriculum. They're going to follow a lesson plan. They're going to get you from point A to point B. Mentors are different. Mentors are people that are or have been where you're trying to go. They know the nuance. This is a thing that people don't that underestimate, especially in a world now where we have things like Chat GPT. Like, oh, knowledge is free. I'll Chat GPT a lesson plan, or Chat GPT or do use AI to come up with my business plan. And yes, it'll probably produce something, but it's not going to have the nuance, and it's not going to have the experience and all the potholes and all the mistakes and all the obstacles and all the roadblocks that you're going to hit along the way. Finding a really good mentor is going to have that. And you present them with an idea or a business plan, they're going to say all the ways that it's going to go wrong or all the ways it's going to go right, and 100 questions that you haven't even thought of, because they've been there. They've been in your shoes, and they've made those mistakes. So that was the third unlock for me. And this only happened a couple years ago. And I got a couple good mentors that were 10 years ahead of me, 30 years ahead of me, that have been and are where I want to be. So that was that third unlock. They're bringing me up to the next level, and I'm missing a lot of the potholes and mistakes that they made. because of that, that circle of trust we have, and them wanting to support me, my family, and bring me up to that next level. So that's that third unlock that, I'm currently in myself. So I have mentors above me that are pulling me up to their level, and I'm turning around and bringing the next generation up to where I was. Yeah, when I joined Wheelbarrow Profits, of like specific examples, I have so many that advice that I was given, and then every week I give so much advice. And again, it's not something that you can read a lesson plan and just say, oh, I'm going to be able to go do this deal in this contract. I'll get on with a student or a member of the community and review a contract. And again, it's so nuanced, but because I have the experience, because the other coaches in the community have the experience, they're actually doing this stuff every day. Everything's fresh. They're actually practicing operators in today's tough market, that we can look through a contract and say, it's good, but this one paragraph here, you need to take this one line out, and that one line might be for a non-terminable cable contract that you missed and your attorney might not have seen, and that non-terminable contract might cost you $100,000 if you missed that. And I've made the mistake where I actually did miss it, and I had to pay that $100,000. So now when I'm when I'm coaching and when I'm doing my calls, that is something that is now in my SOP, in my checklist, to check for these things. And when I'm telling other people to, as they're crafting contracts or whatever, to look for these very, very specific things, because I have the experience of making those mistakes. When a new member joins our community, what sets us apart is, yes, we have the world-class education, the buy right, the finance right, and the manage right. It is battle proven. Like the stats I mentioned before prove that this curriculum is a solid foundation. What sets us apart is not only do you get the education, you're paired with a one-on-one coach. Many groups out there do not do one-on-one coaching. It's group coaching. It's not personable. You got to fight for a couple minutes on a call just to get one question answered. We have one-on-one coaches. Our coaches are the hardest vetted coaches in the game that I'm aware of. They all have to be acting operators, general partners, and operators in their companies. They have to be active in this business. I don't want coaches that did deals 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They have to be current operators in today's market. They have to have at least $20 million of assets under management. Most of our coaches, actually all of our coaches, have over $50 million of assets under management. These are your personal guides through your education process. They're going to meet you where you are. We have people joining from all over in the experience spectrum. Some people have never done a deal. Some people, like me, have done 20 units and they're trying to get to 100 or 200. And then we have some people that have 1,000 units and now want to go vertically integrated and start bringing property management in-house and contracting in-house. We have coaches that are actually doing those things. They're not just reading a book or a curriculum. They are doing this. That is their day job, is being operators, being asset managers, being project managers. So we have the hardest vetted coaches in this space. So you have the curriculum, you have the coaches, you have access to me, you have access to Gino on our group calls. And then on top of that, we still do live events. A lot of other groups, when COVID hit, they got rid of live events. They do these virtual events. We still do live events because we absolutely believe in the power of connection and community, and getting under the surface layer of just formal networking. It's what's underneath the chit chat. How do we get to actual growth? And you're not going to be able to do that on a Zoom call or on a group virtual call. It's going to be in person. It might not even be at the event. We do an event with curriculum, and then we go out after and go do something fun, build camaraderie, build teamwork. And that's when you're really going to have those aha moments that unlock those limiting beliefs or those barriers that you're having in yourself, and allow you to get to that next level. So we're doing everything. We're doing one-on-one coaching, blueprint calls with me and Gino, community events that are life-changing community events, live events. And it's very, very exciting. An ideal outcome for a member of this community is to not just find the purpose, but get the freedom to actually live that purpose, live their personal mission, and using multifamily real estate to be able to fund and provide that space for them, that freedom for them, so they can actually go do the things that fulfill them and make them happy and provide generational wealth for their families, whatever it is. Maybe they want to quit their W-2. It's a common one we see is they're just not being fulfilled in their W-2. They're tired of working whatever their career is. And to me, multifamily is the best vehicle to do that. Maybe it's they want to travel the world with their families. Maybe it's they want to uh, give their life to a charity or a cause, but it's nonprofit, so they need to be able to fund their families or their lives. Multifamily is the best vehicle to do that, in my opinion. I'm a product of this community. I'm a product of this amazing asset class. So I think multifamily in this community sets people up to live their purpose, to fulfill their missions or whatever it is, or at least give them the space and the freedom to even explore what it is they really want to do. It really makes them passionate in life, because they have that financial security, they have the cash flow coming in, they have the equity to support them if something happens, or they can draw on that. And it's really inspiring to see that an asset class like this exists, and it's not rocket science, and it's not unproven. It's tested in so many different assets. It's survived so many market cycles, and it's still here, and it's not a scarce asset. You can go out there, anybody can start. You haven't missed the boat yet. Like, you can start today, and in a couple years, you can have that financial freedom. It only took me 3 years to be able to leave the military, the very secure, steady paycheck and pension of the military. I bet on myself, and I was so sure of this program, of this asset class, that I was going to achieve that, and my confidence in myself to be able to make it happen. And I was able to do that, and it was the best bet I've ever made in my life. I don't have a crystal ball on what's going to happen, but what I'm seeing in my market, having been in the game for 8 years now, is we're at this almost perfect storm of there's a lot of distressed sellers still out there. They're still dropping the prices on their multifamily assets. They need to offload these, or loans are coming due. They don't have the equity or the cash to refinance. So they're selling at big discounts, 20, 30, 40% discounts. At the same time, interest rates have been coming down throughout 2025. We're over a point of interest down in 2025. So it's creating this perfect storm where really good operators that know their numbers, know their markets, can go in and get really good deals. I don't know how long this is going to last for, but the way economics work and everything balances out in the end, I feel like there's a very short window. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe a year, that we're going to be able to get these deals at a discount and lock in really good financing. Long-term, low leverage debt is what we do in my company, to take that interest rate risk and finance risk off the table. But we have low interest rates. We have prices still depressed, still 20, 40% down. And I don't think it's going to last too long. So I think there is opportunity right now to go in, and the best operators, the most informed operators, the most sure about their numbers are going to go in and get really good deals. And you don't need all of them. If you get 2 good deals in this market, where we're at, can change the trajectory of your entire business, of your entire family. Going to community events is very, very important, especially somebody that's introverted like me. Going into big crowds makes me very uncomfortable. I have to really step outside of my comfort zone. And I know there's a lot of people out there that they think that they can just learn this stuff from behind a computer screen in an online community. And I'm here to tell you, you can't. You have to attend these live events. You have to get out of your comfort zone. That is where the growth is. That is where those deep connections, that's where your next partner is going to be at. That's where your next investor is going to be at. Might be where your next deal is at. There might be somebody at an event that has a deal and they can't take it down. It's in your market, and it's a perfect deal that you've been looking for. This has personally happened to me. We bought a A-class new construction property at a 40% discount just last year from somebody we met at an event, and they said, "Hey, I got this deal. I can't buy it. Are you interested?" And one of the best deals I've ever bought in my entire career. If I stuck in my shell, did at home, like, "Oh, I'll just, read the book," I would have never had that opportunity to meet that person, to make that connection, and get this amazing deal. Also, when you're at events, like I was mentioning earlier, there's going to be breakthroughs in the nuance of conversation, listening to people's experience, sharing experiences, and get below the surface level stuff where you're going to have those breakthroughs and those aha moments, because even though I might say something as a coach, as a mentor, I don't have the experiences that you have. Somebody else can have a very similar story and they might say the same thing a little bit different, and it might unlock something that it hits that next level and unlock something for you, that next idea, that next solution to that problem you've been dealing with. And it all comes out at these community events as we're networking, as we're out there having fun, as we're getting these lifelong friendships at these community events. So, like I said, for those introverts listening, you have to get out of your comfort zone. This is something, a business that you can't do from strictly behind your computer screen or online courses. The power is in the community.